Today, I'm joined by CEO and founder of the Women in Tech Forum, Angie Vaux. Angie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Angie, you've had an amazing career in the tech industry, but what sparked your interest in technology?
I've always had an interest in technology from an early age. I got my first computer when I was 8 years old. It was an Atari 800 XL, so I can show my age. And I used to spend my free time writing code and designing very simple computer games. And I've always been fascinated by the impact technology has on the world and on our knowledge. And so when I went to university, I did a module called Doing Business on the Internet, and Amazon had just launched. And so I've always had this curiosity and the desire to make, the world and business a better place. And so it just made sense that that's where I would start my career.
Amazing. That's really interesting. Now, you are, of course, the founder of the amazing Women in Tech Forum. Tell us a little bit about that, how it got started.
Women in Tech Forum started out as a sort of a passion and a hobby and a desire to give back to the broader community. I started by running small roundtable briefings with a group of people and women from the industry and bringing in senior female speakers. And very quickly, the event sold out and each event got bigger and bigger. And so it started to become my full-time role. So I decided to turn that hobby into a full-time business to help women accelerate and grow in their career.
Amazing. That's fabulous work. And it's so great that you've kind of had a little hobby that's turned into this amazing organization, which I'm sure has helped a lot of women in the industry.
Absolutely. And it really makes a difference when you align your passion, your purpose, your expertise, and combine that, as your sort of business and profession. And I think, that's what I find really rewarding is helping people and giving back to the next generation.
Now, Angie, you've talked a lot about mindfulness. How has mindfulness helped you in your career and with the Women in Tech Forum?
Mindfulness has been an integral part of my career for the last 15 years. Running a high-pressured business unit and sales team, it means that you're constantly on the go or on an aeroplane. And so mindfulness really helped me to take a step back and actually manage the pressures and stress that I was facing. And mindfulness is something you can take anywhere. So I could be on a plane to New York and actually just taking that time to have that mindful pause really helps to manage stress. And also it helps, certainly with me, it helps me think clearly as well. So if I have too much clutter going on in my head, it's very difficult to strategize and look at different ways of doing things. So by taking that time out, and even if it's just sort of 3 or 4 minutes, can actually make a really big difference. So it's something that I practice every single day now.
Definitely. I think a couple of years ago, mindfulness was a fairly new concept. And it was not a lot of people used it or realized they used it maybe in their day-to-day lives. And I think over the past couple of years, it's got really popular. And I think people have realized how beneficial it can be just in their everyday lives.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes it's just switching off your brain as well. And that doesn't necessarily have to be sort of sitting and meditating. It could be going for a run or going to the gym or doing an activity that you're really passionate about, because it just allows your mind to rest. And your brain is like any other muscle. It needs to rest and recharge. And so, find something that you love to do and do a little bit every day.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you think we can integrate the values of mindfulness into our careers and in particular leadership roles?
So mindfulness, I talk a lot about the power of the pause. And mindfulness really helps us to respond to situations rather than react mindlessly. I think we've all been guilty of receiving an email or something that's really made us feel quite annoyed or anxious, and we've typed a response and hit send, and then we've sat back in our chairs and we're going, oh, I wish I hadn't have sent that. And by being mindful, it just encourages you to take that pause and actually plan your responses rather than reacting mindlessly as well. So I think it's really, you know, that's one of the things that you can do. And I also believe that mindfulness helps people be more productive as well. If you're constantly running from activity to activity, at some point, your performance will start to decline if you don't create that space to relax and take some time out and give your brain a chance to switch off. So I'm a huge fan of it, and I think particularly now that we're all working from home and going from video call to video call, it's important just to create those moments in your day, even if it's having a 25-minute meeting instead of a 30-minute meeting, so that you have time to reset before going into your next meeting.
Definitely. And I think that way of working can benefit all of us, whatever our roles, whether we're leaders, whether we're, you know, cogs of a big company. I think all those values could really benefit us day to day. Now, you've had an amazing career working with really big names such as Mimecast, SAP, and TripAdvisor. But what has been the biggest challenge in your career so far?
The biggest challenge in my career, that's a great question. I think every sort of step you take in the career ladder that's outside of your comfort zone is a big sort of challenge. But it's in those moments of discomfort is where you really grow. I think one of the biggest challenges was moving from global marketing to actually running a whole business unit in a different country. Having at that point had no sort of sales experience, and all of a sudden I was running a large sales team, product, consulting, marketing, support. And so, you know, that was a huge step up. And that's where I really sort of felt huge imposter syndrome, because all of these people were so much more experienced. And so, you know, making that leap, you know, was quite a big thing for me. But, you know, I think my advice to people out there is, you know, go for those promotions that, you know, you may not think you fit the bill, because you will learn. You do know how to do it. You just have to start trying, and, you know, and make sure that you've got a good mentor and sponsor who can actually help coach you through those transitional moments as well.
Definitely. And I think it's great there that you've mentioned imposter syndrome, because I think so many people experience that. And again, with mindfulness, I think it's only a couple of years back we actually knew what imposter syndrome was. And it could actually put a name to those feelings of feeling inadequate, especially in the workplace. So as you said, just going for that promotion or going for that pay rise, I think is really positive.
Absolutely. And in fact, 70% of men and women suffer from imposter syndrome. And often sort of, you know, throughout our career, whatever level you may be at. But it's about finding those strategies to actually help you manage imposter syndrome, or, you know, in some cases overcome. But it's really, you know, pushing yourself and, you know, looking at strategies to build your confidence, to stop being perfectionist as well.
Absolutely. Having those strategies can only help us improve. Now, you and many other women in the industry have described the tech industry as a bit of a boys' club. What does that mean, and how have you overcome that and made your voice heard in a male-dominated space?
The tech industry historically has been male-dominated and still continues to be predominantly male-dominated, although it is changing. And one of the challenges of being a female, particularly a female in leadership, is knowing how to behave in different situations. One of the things that I did to fit in was to dress like a man, behave like a man, you know, because I didn't have any other role models. They were all males. And so to fit in, you know, I sort of molded myself on them. And, you know, it did serve me well for part of my career, but what you lose is your authenticity and your authentic self, and actually winning on your strengths as a woman. You can't win by trying to be somebody else. So I think that's the key thing. And I think certainly the environment we find ourselves in today lends itself much more to people being more authentic. You know, you're seeing people in their family homes, you're meeting their children and their pets. And so, you see a different side of people. And it's through those connections that you build relationships as well. So I think that this sort of, one of the key messages is be your authentic self and, use your strengths that you have as a woman.
Definitely. I think you raised a lot of points there that will certainly resonate with a lot of people. Now, we know more than ever that actions speak louder than words, and we need to be allies to those who are underrepresented. How can men be allies to women in male-dominated workplaces and industries such as technology?
Huge amount that men can do to support underrepresented minorities, whether that be women or other groups within the organization. And so, the first one for women in particular is to really champion women and actually share their successes. Women often downplay their successes in the workplace. So, if you're a leader, it's really important to showcase the great work that you're seeing, men and women do in your organization. The second one is to sponsor and mentor women as well, and actually share the unwritten rules of business too. So I think take the time to really help them grow in their career. The other one is to make sure you're asking the right questions. So often when we decide to help people, we think we have to fix people or that we know best. But sometimes just asking really powerful questions can help people, such as what can I do to help you? Who can I introduce you to? What should I stop doing? What should I do more of? So actually using powerful questions and actually getting people to think about how they can leverage the people around them to help them grow in their career.
Amazing. Yeah, it's all about educating ourselves and sometimes realizing that we've been doing something wrong or we need to learn and just educating ourselves so we can do better.
Absolutely.
Amazing. What advice would you give to women and girls who want to get started in the tech industry?
Go for it. It's in the words of Henry Ford, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you are right. So it all starts with that self-belief and that commitment that you can do it, and really go out and create a plan for yourself to be successful as well. Sometimes we put our successes in other people's hands, but it's actually own your career, decide what it is you want to do, and go and find organizations and people who are aligned with your values and your vision as well.
Amazing advice. Angie, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.